Hello viewer, the Nameless Scholar here. Once the mindless automata, enslaved by shattered gods, then turn into Tomb Kings in space, the Necrons of Warhammer 40k have gone through a vast transformation. The Necrons are still one of the better written Xenos factions though, without a doubt. Firstly, for people who have watched my two recent videos, my cynicism will be more toned down and will come out much later in this video. Because I want to spend at least the first half of my video by telling my beliefs on a much older video I had produced. Now that I have tried 3rd and 4th edition Warhammer 40k tabletop, my view on the old Crons have changed drastically. Although I still prefer the new Crons, I just like them separately for different reasons now. I still think the Reapers in the first Mass Effect did their shtick better. However, I like the old Crons mainly for their gameplay. The new Crons I like because of the tragedy. With the Silent King being deceived by the Catan and goes on to a self-imposed exile. I'll come back to this later. Before I rip into the state of Necron lore in modern Warhammer 40k, I want to say that the Necrons are still one of the better written Xenos factions. I know I'm a broken record, as I have praised the Infinite and the Divine before. However, the Necrons are not perfect. As you guys know, the old Crons used to be straight-up Terminators who wanted to exterminate all life on their planets to feed their Catan shards. Their main shtick was the mechanical horror. When 5th edition came out, GW went, okay, they are now Tomb Kings of space. I saw people in my video who referred to the new Crons as mechanical Eldar, but that's not true. If anything, they act more like Tomb Kings. Emotech is literally just 40k equivalent of Cetra. Now that they are just Tomb Kings in space, the mechanical horror is gone, so they instead focused fully on the tragedy. The Silent King was deceived by the Star Gods, particularly this Deceiver, which at first turned his entire species into slaves. They waged the war in heaven, and when the old ones were all killed off, the Silent King turns against the Catan, and they are shattered into many pieces. Due to him dooming all of his people into becoming soulless automata, the Silent King exiled himself from the galaxy, and the Necrons entered into a 65 millennium year long slumber. And when the Necrons started awakening, the Silent King briefly returned to the galaxy, and he revealed that he is looking for a way to stop the Tyranids. How is that going again? Alright, say it with me. Nothing became of it. Not only had nothing became of the Silent King's return, if anything, thanks to the results of Leviathan, the Tyranids are closer to Holy Terra than they have ever been. Not only that, Emotech and he are in a civil war at the moment. First of all, how? Secondly, nothing will become of it. Thirdly, this is only to artificially prevent the Imperium from losing. Fourthly, a civil war of this magnitude would be like if the Forerunners in the Flood of Halo waged war on one another. So, not only has the Silent King's character arc has been thrown out the window, but the Necrons are in a civil war that would amount to what is essentially the Second War in Heaven. Even though the Pariah Nexus event is still unresolved. Another gripe I have is that in favor of Emotech, Oricon, Trizin, and Xeros, Vargard Brian, Nemesor Zandrik, and Unrekir the Wanderer are being at least temporarily shelled. So, this video is, like I said before, much shorter than my other ones, because there are still many well-written things in the Necron lore that is from modern times. But what they did with the Silent King is just flat-out insulting. And briefly talking about the tabletop, I hate what they did to the Necrons when it comes to gameplay. They just feel like a silver horde now. I know the new Crons were always an elite horde, whereas the old Crons were just fully elite. But as somebody who prefers elite armies, seeing my main army turn into this is it's just sad. And it would have been better to 40k to burn in its own end times than to see the whole point of the Necrons just murdered and then thrown out the window.